Hey, I'm Emma, and my 1 year younger sister is so gorgeous that it hurts. You see, since I was a kid, she was always the center of attention. My mom would proudly show her off to others while I had to stay in the back and be quiet. It was obvious that she loved her more than me. My sister was allowed to do anything she wanted and never got punished. That's why she often threw tantrums. If she wanted to have something, all she had to do was scream until my mom bought it for her. She wasn't a bad person though, she just never had someone telling her to shut up. Instead, everyone always complimented her on her looks. One Christmas, she got an $800 smartphone from my mom, while I only got a book and some colored pencils for school. I felt so unloved that I started crying like crazy. My sister came over to me and said, "Hey, don't cry. You see, you don't need a smartphone because you don't have friends to chat with." I knew she didn't mean it in a bad way, but her words still hurt. And then my mother told me to stop crying because it made me look ugly. My mother had high hopes for my sister. She said she would marry a famous TV star someday. Meanwhile, she didn't care about how I would end up whatsoever. Life at school wasn't any better. Many boys came up to me just to ask how they could get a date with my sister. It felt like no one cared I even existed. And maybe that's why I tried to get attention by getting good grades in school. I remember showing my mom my 10th grade report card full of A's and B's. I hoped she would be impressed, but all she said was, "Good job." And then she continued watching TV. I guess the first time I felt appreciated was when I became friends with Vitaly. We were in the same math course and did our homework after school together. I wondered if we might even become a couple. But when he came to my house one day to study for an exam, my sister sat down at our table and said, "Hey, what's your name?" Vitaly completely blushed. He had probably never talked to a girl as beautiful as my sister. When she was gone again, he said, "Why didn't you tell me you had such a good-looking sister?" I know it wasn't his intention, but his words hurt so much that I went to the bathroom to cry. I realized that he had never even considered me as a girlfriend. Meanwhile, my sister was 18 and had a 26-year-old boyfriend who'd bought her a car. And how did she get to know her lover? Well, over Instagram, where she had over 20,000 followers, even though she had only posted 25 photos of herself. I started to wonder if any guy would ever be interested in me. Or if I'd just die alone someday. Well, when I went to college, I followed my passion for engineering, and I was so lucky because 90% of engineering students are male. I still remember my first team project. I was with Liam working late into the night, and we had so much fun, laughing and vibing. At one point, he even told me that I was the coolest, smartest girl he'd ever met. It gave me a huge boost in confidence. Maybe I wasn't as worthless and unlovable as I had thought. Well, we kept seeing each other, and when we went to a bar, we had our first kiss. I wasn't sure if I was doing it right, but he seemed to enjoy it. Having a boyfriend in college is awesome. We saw each other every day and always studied together. When I told my sister I had a boyfriend, she was truly happy for me and asked, "Who is it?" But when I showed her a photo, she said, "Are you kidding me? I mean, if he's your boyfriend, then you are pretty damn lucky." I knew she meant it well, but I'm so insecure at times that I got angry and said, "It's not all about looks. I know I'm not as pretty as you, but that doesn't mean I'm worthless. I mean, how do you know that he isn't lucky to have me? Maybe I'm a great girlfriend despite of how ugly I am in your eyes." My sister hadn't expected such a reaction and looked shocked, so I apologized. But after my boyfriend and I graduated, we both started working in the same company. My female coworkers asked me, "How did you manage to get a guy like him?" They all act like he's so out of my league, and a couple of times I even saw my colleague Giselle flirting with him, even though she knows I'm his girlfriend. Afterward, I went up to her and said, "Please stop annoying my boyfriend. He's not interested in a tramp like you." "Oh, I'm just trying to help him. You see, he hasn't realized that he is out of your league. You are boring and look like a scarecrow. Meanwhile, he's smart and handsome." I'd never been in a fight in my life, but I was about to punch her in the face. I said, "Look, I get you are jealous, but if you ever need help finding a boyfriend, just ask me for help." Well, after that encounter, she tried even harder to steal my boyfriend away from me. But he's a good guy and always told her to go away. I guess things calmed down afterward. We were just a happy couple living our lives. But then Christmas came and my boyfriend and I were visiting my mom and sister. You can imagine how nervous I was. How would he react to seeing my stunningly beautiful sister, who at this point had never worked in her life because her boyfriends had always been taking care of her? Well, my boyfriend didn't run away with her. He acted as if my sister was just a normal person. But my sister immediately took me to the side and said, "He's a great guy. I'm really happy for you." But then we had a few drinks and my sister and boyfriend started to get along very well. They laughed and joked and I was completely ignored, like I'd been as a kid. I know how immature this sounds, but after a while, I just interrupted them and said, "I want to go home." They said, "Okay." And when Liam and I were in the car, he asked me if I was fine. That's when I told him how my sister had gotten all the attention as a kid, and I was quite insecure about it. But Liam is a great guy and apologized and promised to be more aware of my insecurities next time. I know I'm immature and insecure, and maybe that will never change, but I'm glad to have a boyfriend who loves me anyway.